So I am with the man, Dan Donegan from Disturbed. I'm so excited to talk to you because when I found out that you were going to be on Reconnect with Rockers and we were going to be doing this, there are things that I have wanted to ask you.
Alrighty.
And being such a Disturbed fan over the years, so I had to collect all of my thoughts, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Fire.
Let's fire away. So first of all, we have a Jersey date coming. So excited that the tour got announced. First, like full scale headlining tour since 2018. So we've got you guys coming to PNC Bank Arts Center on August 11th. Amazing. Just amazing. Jersey. We talked a little bit for a second off Zoom. We're rockers here. So we're ready to like raise the roof off. And I found the crowds. I was at, what was I at last week? An Alter Bridge show.
Okay.
And I just find people now are appreciating being in the room with live, real sound almost more than ever.
Right. I mean, we were all hungry for it, right? During COVID, and when it's taken away from you, then you appreciate it more when you get it back, right? And the fans have always been hungry for it, but I think we've all needed it because music is therapeutic for most of us, if not all of us. For us to write these songs and go and put our heart on our sleeve and perform them, it's therapeutic for us and for the fans to come to shows. You go to shows to escape, real life situations. You would get away from work, get away from school, get away from whatever, whether it's good or bad going on in your life. It's an escape. So we all need it.
Boy, do we need it. Boy, do we need it. So I want to talk to you about, I'm going to start by talking a little bit. We're going to talk about the great new record, Divisive, but I want to talk about you guys being, I've been at WDHA a long time. I call them Gold Star Standard Band. So let me explain what I mean by this. When people say, I've been hearing rock is dead since like 1991, rock is dead, yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, where's the next Led Zeppelin? So I try to get people sometimes to understand, the rock is deaders, whether they're mostly industry people, where we shooting our own selves in the damn foot. I can't understand it. There is no new Led Zeppelin, but for generations of people, there are bands that have that impact. For me, my Led Zeppelin was Van Halen. I come from the generation of Van Halen. All we did was want to, drink beer nips and go to the Van Halen concert. I was a heavy metal parking lot person. That was me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, you too. Okay, so yeah, because we're pretty close in age, so we're pretty much from the same generation. So now I've been doing this a long time. I see Disturbed as one of those Gold Star Standard bands. You are that band for an entire generation of fans. And I don't look at you guys the way I looked at you in 2000 as a metal band, a new metal band.
Right.
Now you're the standard for what a rock band is.
Appreciate that. I'll take that.
You will. Okay. So I just wanted to know your feeling on that, because I think sometimes you can be so caught up in the day-to-dayness of what you guys are doing that this is what rock is right now. And it's these amazing bands that write amazing songs, put out great records, and go out and just kill it out on the road.
We're so blessed to have this long of a career. It's not an easy industry to get in, as for a band to still, to each time it's a new challenge. You're writing songs for yourself and the guys in the group. And this is, like I said, our therapy session. And, we're just fortunate that, when we put our heart on our sleeve, we realize that there's a fan base out there that connects to it, that have either experienced, the same experiences in life, and they could relate to it. But to do that with each album and to keep pushing ourselves and challenging it, and still be able to write songs that chart well and connect well with the large fan base, it's not an easy thing to do, and still stay relevant, but you don't. For us, I don't second guess it. I don't sit there and I don't try to sit there and think what radio wants or the fans want or the record label. You just got to stay true to yourself, and you just write the songs that are meaningful to you, and realize when you're honest like that somebody will find something within the material that they can relate to. And we're just lucky that we have an audience that appreciates it and it can connect with it.
And then we get to that second part, which is the live performance part. Because you guys are such an experienced band. I had Mike Wengren on with me. He's what a super dude he is. And I talked to him about, and I said, don't confuse me. I'm not saying experienced. I'm saying experience, because when I'm at a Disturbed show, I'm watching everyone. I'm not just watching David. I'm watching Mike, because he's such a visual drummer, you know. So when you were coming up as a guitar player,
Yeah.
you know, I can imagine the guys that you know, were riffing and tapping and inspiring you. But who was the visual guy where you were a kid and you said, you know what, when I get on stage, I got to do that?
Well, it's funny. It's going to sound like I'm only saying it because you just mentioned the band, but really Van Halen was a big part of it for me as a kid. And I said this in an interview earlier today, was, you know, when I go up on stage and I perform, I try to, you know, for me, it's important to have that interaction, you know, for the whole band. I could speak for all of us, so to have that interaction with the crowd, because we're not going up there to just play the songs. Let's play the hit songs, play Down with the Sickness, play that. We want to share that and make that connection with the audience. And I remember, you know, being that kid in the crowd and going to a Van Halen concert and thinking Eddie Van Halen locked eyes with me. You know, here's my guitar hero, one of my heroes. And I felt like we shared a moment. And whether he was maybe looking over my head, looking at a girl, whatever, but I thought it was a connection, you know, I felt that. And that carried with me up till right now, my whole life. I carry that. And I understand the importance of that. And if we have that kind of impact with our fans to where they feel that we truly are having a moment together, and it's hard. I look around the room, I try to make eye contact with as much and many people as I can, because we're feeling that moment. And whatever song we're playing, whether it's something aggressive like 10,000 Fist or Indestructible, or if it's something acoustic like A Reason to Fight, and it's talking about addiction and depression and things, and you see just the emotion on people's faces, you know, that you have that connection, and it goes a long way, you know. And I hope that, you know, we could touch as many people as we can and make that connection, so we feel that you know, we're sharing that moment.
Well, the moment was incredible. It's not easy to have those moments at Madison Square Garden, because that's the ultimate ginormo dome. And I was at that Garden show, and I talked to Mike about this, and I talked to David when I had him on about that magical night when you guys played a sold out Madison Square Garden. I remember the selfie that you guys did with the crowd. And just that beautiful feeling that was in the room from the minute I entered, and 3 Days Grace was the opener, and it was packed for the opener. And just that incredible feeling that you guys connected with that Madison Square Garden legendary, amazing tri-state area New York City crowd.
I mean, come on, this is like the Super Bowl venue of all venues, you know, in my opinion. You know, Madison Square Garden, how could this is such a huge milestone in our career. You know, a lot of us flew, you know, I flew out my kids and my wife, or my ex-wife, flew them out for the show. I mean, this was just such a big accomplishment in our career, and we needed to share that with family and friends. And a lot of people came out to that and flew out for that show, and it was just chills up our spine. It was a very emotional night. You know, it's a pinch yourself moment. You know, I still
think about that. Look, the Garden is my venue. It's my New York City venue. You know, when I go to a giant show, I've seen everybody there, from Elton John to Foo Fighters to Van Halen, you know, when I was in high school. And I still remember that night as just being a real electricity, you know, in the air that night. That was just an incredible experience. And I'm so happy that we got to experience it with a band that is currently making great music, because you can look back at those, you know, Van Halen, Elton John, whatever moments, and then go, and I had one of those moments with Disturbed too. And I think that that's really very, very special for me, being a rock programmer. Very, very special.
Yeah, for us too. It's always going to be at the top of my list of accomplishments in our career. It's like I said, it feels like we, you know, won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know? You did. You won the rock Super Bowl. So let's talk about the record. Is so great. Oh my gosh, Divisive. I want to talk about you guys working with Drew Falk, which was it your first time working with him, correct?
Yes.
That has to be. I was talking to a coworker of mine who does afternoons, and he does our metal show and stuff. And I was saying, imagine being like a producer and you're going into the studio with Disturbed.
Yeah.
There's got to be a little bit of intimidation. I don't care how seasoned you could work with Lil Wayne and everybody else under the sun, and he's got this great vibe of working with so many cool people with different sounds, whether it's Pop Evil or, Wage. I love the Wage War record. He did the Wage War record. So what was it like for you coming out of a pandemic, making a new record and working with a new producer?
It's always challenging because, the early part of our career, we worked with Johnny K, who did the first 3 albums with us. He's a hometown friend out of Chicago. We knew him. I knew him growing up and being the local guy doing the demos for bands locally. And then we kind of self-produced throughout the years. And then, then we went to Kevin Churko in Las Vegas, who's done Five Finger Death Punch in this moment, a lot of great bands out of Vegas. So at this point, we just felt like we needed new life. We needed another person in there. So to let somebody in from the outside to kind of become that 5th member of the band, it's always challenging. It's not, I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to our music, and to let somebody in and to try to allow them to have an opinion and trust them and respect what they do and bring to the table. I think we've opened up a lot more over the years. As the older we get, we've kind of opened up to say, hey, we can trust this person to throw ideas at us, it's going to challenge us and push us too. So it's a bit of a learning curve in the beginning. And I kind of was seeking out producers, trying to think who was catching my attention currently. And I thought Drew was just kind of, younger guy in his 30s. I liked what he was doing. Like you mentioned, Wage War, and then Motionless in White. And he did a couple one-off songs with like Papa Roach and Pop Evil and stuff like that. So I really liked what he was doing with those bands, what he brought to the table with the production of them. And I thought that this one could be a really good marriage between, him and Disturbed, because I thought we wanted to get back to some of the core elements of what Disturbed is, those signature elements of that animalistic side to David's vocals, even though, he's still very melodic, bringing out that animalistic side to him, bringing the heavy riffs with the syncopation, in the rhythm section, and then with a modern day production. And we thought Drew would be a good marriage, and a good addition to this band. And it was, I flew out to California to meet with him. It was just me and him, just to hang out, not even work together. I just wanted to see if we just vibed as people, and we just hit it off right away. And, picked him as a producer, told the guys, my opinion, I think that Drew's the guy that we should at least enter the studio with and see how it goes. And it was just a short period of time of being in the studio once we started the writing process that we felt his opinions, his contribution was something that was we were going to benefit from. And it just became a great friendship and working relationship with him. And, it was amazing. I've never had a better experience in the studio than being with Drew. It just, him and I had a great chemistry, and it really got the ball rolling for us to kind of create those ideas to give David that bed of music that was going to inspire him, melodically and lyrically.
Yeah, and you can hear it. I mean, I can hear it. This record just checks every box. It's like Disturbed 2.0 times 5 times 100 times 956. I mean, it's just, it's an incredible, incredible record. When I had David on and when I had Mike on, everybody had the same response too. And I wanted to thank you guys as well, to the Ann Wilson track, because everybody was like, oh my God, pinch me, to Don't Tell Me, which was incredible. I love the band, has never been afraid. I'm a big, big proponent for females in rock because, everybody's been trying to get in. And now we're finally making a little headway. We've got women that are charting and tours that are going out. And you got people like Lizzie Hale that are, on the escalator, carrying women through. You guys have never been afraid to do something. David giving Nita Strauss a #1 record, which I thought was brilliant. You're taking Ginger out on the road with you, which is a big deal, and then not only bringing Ann in, but bringing an iconic woman in, an icon of music, as opposed to saying, we just really have to take somebody younger that's the kids are looking at on social media. I mean, you guys went for the quality. You went for the voice. You went for who you thought And you know, what was your response to having her as part of this incredible record?
Well, I mean, it's still it still feels like a dream world. You know, we have a living legend. It lend her talents and her vocals to this track. And, you know, for the women like Anne and Pat Benetars of the world and the female rockers, the ones that those legends that came in with attitude and a voice and an identity. You know, it was amazing because Anne has such an identity with her voice. You hear her sing, and you know, at least most of us can pick it out that it's her. And David has such a signature sound to his voice too. So to have the two of them, you know, kind of work out these harmonies and kind of complement each other, it was just like it was something to see. It was just being in the studio as this was developing, and just the little kid in me was coming out. I was just kind of witnessing something that was magical. I'm thinking, here's the woman that sang all these great heart tunes, you know, and I witnessed her singing on one of our songs. It was
Our
just,
song, yeah,
yeah, it was just such a badge of honor to have her so into the idea of doing it. As soon as we sent the track to her and asked if she would be interested in doing it, it was like almost an immediate response of,
and she's such a
yeah,
pure artist. Like Anne is not somebody who is just screwing around. You
right.
know, Anne is, she's all about the art, man. She's all
Yeah.
about what is true, what is pure. She's got dignity and she's one of the most, has the most integrity of any artist, really. She's all about that. So that song must have spoken to her big time.
Yeah, I mean, look, she doesn't have to do this.
No.
She's had a long career, so it's not like, and she's, I don't, not that I'm aware of, I don't think she's done it many times throughout her career, you know, a handful of times or a couple soundtracks and that.
Yep.
But, you
Yep.
know, so to be the band that she picked to collaborate with and sing on this track is definitely an honor to have her. And, you know, even going back to some of these other female artists today, you know, these the Lizzie Hales of the world, and there's so many great female artists today that are killing it, you know, and they're leading the way. They earned it, you know. I'm excited to have Ginger on this tour because you know, this Ukrainian band, they sound very musical, very talented. I haven't had the chance to see them live yet, but from what I hear and what I've seen on YouTube, I mean, it sounds incredible. And there's so many good ones along the way. I don't want to leave anybody out. You know, there's Ash Costello
I
from
love Ash. Oh, she's my
uh,
girl. Yes, great, great. And Taylor Momsen, and there's
Marie
Dorothy, you know,
Frank.
Dorothy with
Yeah,
that big giant voice. There's just it's a really great time for women in music.
I'm a big fan of the new Dorothy album. You know, she showed me that those tracks before the album was released. She played that for me, and I really love that album. I think she's such a great vocalist. We did a handful of festivals that she was on too. We have some more in the future coming up this year that she's on as well. And she's such a great vocalist, and I hope people take notice of, you know, of her album and some of these tracks too.
Yeah, Dan, it's been such a pleasure hanging with you. See, I think I checked every box. I know you were on like the radio tour today, but it was so great just being able to sit down and have a conversation with you. Congratulations on just a banner record. I mean, Divisive is I think my favorite Disturbed record, and I have so many favorite Disturbed records. So like this, you know, it was a big deal when I heard the record as a whole, and just amazing. You guys keep raising the bar. Again, a gold standard band, and we are super excited to have you in New Jersey at the PNC Bank Arts Center on August the 11th. Cannot wait to come out on a Friday night and jam with one of my favorite bands.
So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Dan Donegan, yay! Virtual hugs, computer hugs, baby. DHA's Reconnect with Rockers is powered by Dover Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram on Route 46 in Rockaway.